there's been few people that has been asking us in which way we can apply mBraining, in which circumstances in your practice and with your clients. So one of the questions that come up pretty often is about how, for people that are dealing with energies, let's say some kind of healers, are using mBraining. If they found that mBraining made a difference in their practice, in which way this difference was coming up for them first, and then for others. So we have today Deborah Dalziel, that is an mBIT trainer and also a Reiki practitioner, and she will tell us about how she integrated mBIT with her practice. So it's up to you. Bye, Deb.
Oh, thanks, Enric. That's lovely. Thank you. Yes, look, my practice is Reiki, and maybe I'll just start a little bit about that in case someone isn't familiar. But Reiki is an energetic healing method. It's a Japanese practice, but used all around the world, and is really about coming back into yourself. It's really all about developing and working with yourself. And then the energy of the practice has the ability to support healing, as we use that word. It's we were chatting earlier about the broadness of that word. Yeah. But it really helps the person heal on both an emotional, a spiritual, psychological, or physical level. It can heal on any of those. For me, in any of these sort of modalities, such as Reiki, you could probably say the same for shiatsu, for in acupuncture and things like that, is one of the most important things is the person open? Are they feeling centered, grounded? What can help them be that, so that then they can go into a space to heal themselves? And so from a Reiki perspective, where I've found a spiritual practice like Reiki, and most people know it from hands-on healing, so where you might place your hands on someone and that helps them heal. Ultimately, if a person isn't open to receiving healing, it won't matter what you do. It's not going to happen.
Of course, yeah.
And so sometimes people know they need support, but they're actually quite overwhelmed, and they can come in quite distraught or overwhelmed. And so for me, there's two parts to how I've found the package of mBIT has been really useful. The first part is working on myself. As a practitioner, when we do anything in a healing space or a supportive space for other people, we have to be willing to keep working on ourselves. So obviously I have my meditation practice, I have my Reiki practice, and I've found mBIT to be another way to help the mind come on the journey of the spiritual practice.
Like it.
For me, for Reiki, one of the other reasons I love mBIT is that in Reiki we have 3 energy centers. So we have the hara, which is the belly, or in mBIT we call the gut.
The gut, yeah.
Right? We also have the heart, and then we also have the head, the third eye. And in these 3 energy centers in Reiki, the one in the belly is about being grounded, centered, balanced. The one in the head is all about creating harmony. So it's about spiritual, heavenly energy. So if I have really good grounded energy and I have really good heavenly energy, I'm then in harmony. And then that makes it, if I have those, that makes it so much easier to come into my heart.
Yeah.
If I'm grounded and centered.
Yeah.
And that sort of fits the science behind mBIT. And for me, that's really where the first place is working on yourself, being able to use these tools to help yourself. Because the more you're centered and grounded as a practitioner, the more you can hold that space for other people.
Of course, yes.
So that's sort of the first way I found it really useful. The second point is around helping a client when they're coming in a couple of ways. One is the calibration skills that you get through learning mBIT also can just help you know what key words or phrases to help a client feel more comfortable if they're feeling emotional or out of balance. So I think that's kind of useful, especially in a coaching sense. But from a spiritual sense and working with people spiritually, sometimes people want something to take away. So sometimes they want their head brain
Yeah.
actually hasn't caught up with the energetic experience. And I see this a lot in spiritual work. People come in for a treatment or they study with me and learn Reiki, and they're amazed. They're like, wow, I feel amazing. I feel so clear. I feel so centered. How did that happen in just an hour's treatment? I feel so much more in myself and in my body. And then their head goes, how can this be possible? How can this be possible?
Yeah.
And that's where sometimes the science behind mBIT, even though it's not the spiritual practice, and it is not the same thing, the language within that spiritual practice, within the practice of mBIT, is so valuable to support their head brain coming on the journey. Yeah. So in Reiki, we say there's the body, there's the mind, and speech or energy. Yeah. And it's always body, mind, speech. And so you have a Reiki treatment with me and your body feels it. You have a Reiki treatment and your spirit feels it, your energy feels it. But the mind, sometimes the mind is like, what's going on? What's going on?
Yeah.
And so mBIT for me it's not so much that I use it when I'm with the client, as in using the processes, but the knowledge of it, firstly, like I said, helps me. And secondly, it can be a lovely framework to help explain what is actually happening from a science perspective energetically. And it gives their head brain a kind of structure to then go, okay, when I was feeling this, okay, this makes sense. Now, naturally, you don't, with clients, if they're coming in, say, for a treatment with you, you don't go through the whole frame.
All the information, yes. Okay.
And also, this is where the calibration skills and all your NLP and everything else you've studied comes into play, to know which information is going to support this person healing themselves. And for me, as a person that works in these modalities, that's more important. I'm not really doing the healing. I don't believe that. I believe I'm creating a space that supports them going in and supporting the healing for themselves. And whether that's coaching or Reiki, it really doesn't matter. It's more, what am I doing to clean up myself so I'm as pure and clean today for my clients? And then secondly, when their head starts to question the amazing experiences they've had, sometimes the head brain wants to catch up. It hasn't learnt as much. And then the mBIT frame can be so valuable. And I think these days too, there's so much science out there about the value of meditation.
Yeah.
And so people are really open to it. We've got neuroplasticity. People know the brain can change. So the general framework within science is there. And I think mBIT also takes that science that is focused on the brain at the moment about meditation and neuroplasticity, and it's starting to bring it into the heart, and it's starting to bring it into the gut. And that's why I think there's so much value in this methodology, because the science of it that the creators did, Grant and Marvin did, that sets it apart and just gives you another framework to really support clients going in and learning more about themselves. That's kind of from my business model and how I use it. So.
Yeah, fantastic. It's true that people really need to make a reason, make a meaning of what this is about. Love it. Beautiful. So there's been basically a good improvement for you, a good tool to add to your toolbox.
Absolutely. Especially, I live in Melbourne, Australia. And when I first opened my shop, I'm here in my shop now, and it's in Hawthorne. And when I first opened, I had two schools of thought. People would see me, I was doing some of the painting inside, and people would see me and they'd say, "Oh, what's going in here?" And I'd sort of say meditation and Reiki. And I'd get a couple of different responses. I'd get a, "Wow, that's fantastic. I'll come along," or "My daughters will come along," or something like this. And the other response sometimes I got was, "Are you sure this is the right location?" And to me, that's just beautiful. It says to me, we're all diverse. We all don't want the same things. And this practice isn't going to be for everybody. But also sometimes that can be that it's not for them, and it can just be their head brain's never heard of that before. So what's that? That's a whole new school of thought. And I get clients from high-end corporate CFOs. I've had airline pilots. I've had, you name it. I get nurses, doctors. And believe it or not, they all get it. They all get the understanding of Reiki. They all understand the benefits and the fact that if they need to explain it to someone, if I give them a little bit of the mBIT knowledge, it gives them some language to help other people, so they don't receive what I got, which is
love that. Yes,
they don't get that blank look like, "Oh, you sure that should be going?"
Absolutely.
They don't get that. They can sort of say, "Well, there's neuroplasticity and there's we know the brain can change with meditation, and Reiki is really another facet of that. But Reiki takes you into your body, and they've also proven, and then we use the science, and obviously for some clients, what I love is they can start to use this methodology themselves at home. So with some coaching clients, sometimes they come for coaching and then they actually transition into Reiki, or vice versa. Some come for Reiki and then they might be interested in the coaching. And so depending on how they've come to me will also depend on how much about mBraining I use with them. But then it becomes an empowering tool. So once again, rather than me being the changer of change, I'm just providing a support network to help them enrich their life, empower them. And I have clients now that sometimes they'll just know, they book me for a coaching session, and then another time they just know it's the Reiki I need. And that's just golden, that they have that intuition within them. And I think mBIT's just another aspect of helping a person develop that and listen to this beautiful intuition we already have.
Awesome. So thank you, Deb, for your feedback about. Hopefully this will be helpful for everyone that could be interested in coming to one of the certification, one of the Evolve programs that we run.
That'd be beautiful. I think that would be I think that would be amazing to do that. Yeah, I'll go for it, people, because it's really helped me a lot. Okay,
thank you so much, and I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you so much. Thanks. Bye.